I'm here with my friend Katie, and we're talking about what can go wrong when you winter sow.
So many things.
So,
Not really.
Katie is an incredible grower. I get a lot of my very nice plants from her here in near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And we were just talking about winter sowing, and of course we have her garden supervisor here who has the cutest trill you've ever heard of her cat. She's extremely fluffy, so she's helping us. Her name is Waldorf. Waldorf the cat is helping us today. So we were just talking about soil-less mixtures, which I love, but there's a problem when they come out of the package.
This one has just come out. I had a little bit of water on it.
Yep.
If I put water on it now,
Yep.
the water is going to pretty much run out the bottom really quickly.
Right.
Because it just won't hold the water yet. So you need to give it enough water, sort of to let it get the idea of what's expected, sort of create the expectation.
Right.
That we need you to absorb water and
Right.
then slowly fill it up. You want this water, you want this medium to be so wet that if you'd squeeze it, you'd feel like you could get a couple drops of water.
You could squeeze water out of it. So that's super important, because you were saying that, a couple of times you've had people try garden soil or even compost, and that's not great for
Yes.
the seed starting.
Garden soil has its own set of problems because it will have pathogens in it that in the wild, the ecosystem will take care of those things.
Yep.
But when you have a small contained section like this, if you've got any bad bacteria or anything in here, it's not going to have anything to control it.
Right.
So the sterile starting medium is pretty essential. Otherwise, you risk wasting all that work.
Right. Well, and seeds, which in some cases are not inexpensive.
Yes.
So got your setup here. So you've got the sterile potting mixture here.
Right. We started with empty jugs. This is kind of the classic thing for winter sowing. I actually have a completely different system that I like to use myself. But I thought we'd start with this because this is what everybody knows. You need to make sure that you have a couple of drainage holes in the bottom.
Yep.
And I've learned the hard way that you do that part first before you cut the access in. And then just with a pair of scissors, and I'm sure anybody who uses, I'm not following OSHA recommendations here. I'm just stabbing.
Careful.
Stabbing. Be more careful than me, please.
Don't hurt yourself.
Cut across everything except
the handle.
Around the handle.
Yep. So
and then you've got a nice thing that's about 3 inches deep, which is plenty. All you're doing here, you're not growing the plants in here. You're just starting them.
Right.
So you really just need enough of a medium to get them going. The winter sowing process is actually very slow. Yep. And that is one of the downsides of it that you need to know before you start. Yep. If you want the first tomatoes in your block, you're not going to get them from a winter sowing process.
Yep.
Because they'll sprout when nature tells them it's time to do so.
Right. So the advantage of this really is for things like annuals and for things like native seeds, which require this cold, moist stratification, which is really what we're simulating here, is Mother Nature kind of in a milk jug.
Yes, and there's some key words you can look for. If something in the seed catalog says that it self-sows readily, that's a key.
Okay.
That you can even if it's an annual, that you can winter sow it and it'll be fine.
Okay. And Waldorf is making sure that we're doing everything right here. Can you hear Waldorf's purr? What do you think, Waldorf? Yep. Waldorf has the best purr of any cat I've ever heard in my life. She really does.
She's so helpful that way. Once you've got the seeds put in, you need to just put them on the surface because you're trying to replicate what happens in nature.
Right. So we're not burying the seeds.
Not burying them. Very occasionally, you will see some that they'll say on the packet that they need dark.
Yep.
In order to sprout. In that case, you can sprinkle just the tiniest little bit of soil over top.
Okay.
You do want to press this down a bit with your hands, though, because air is the enemy of a seedling. You don't want any air around the roots.
Okay, that's a great tip.
So you're not making it like cement. You're not pushing it down.
Just tamp it lightly.
Tamp it lightly is a good way to describe it.
Okay.
So we'll put seeds on the surface here.
Yep.
And a really crucial part even though we're going to write on the outside of the jug, a really crucial part here is to write on the, I took this Sharpie marker out of my pocket when we were in the house.
But write on the inside and
on
write
the inside and on the
Yep.
outside. So I will
You can
write,
try this. I don't know that it's going to work, but you can, for giggles, see if it'll work.
Okay, so we're going to just pick one randomly. Let's say garlic chives.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be adequate for. Actually,
No, not working. Okay.
no, I do have a Sharpie.
Okay.
I remembered it.
Have a little bed set up for the supervisor to make sure that supervisor is warm and cozy. It's a little chilly here today, but of course the supervisor must be kept at all times very cozy. So a little bed set up for the supervisor. Okay. So we are writing with a Sharpie. I have found sometimes too Sharpies will fade. So
They
I will
can.
use a pencil.
So what I do
label
is
maker.
write on both the top and bottom of
Smart.
a marker, and I'll put it. It doesn't have to be in the center, but
Yeah.
put it in the center, and then the part that's underground will not fade.
Okay.
You don't have to worry at all about that.
Great tip, because ask me how I know that they fade.
Yes.
So I do have a label maker too, and the label maker
Mm-hmm.
works great. But yes, and I love your little plant markers. Are those old blinds?
These are old. I kind of hate to share this tip with anybody because when Venetian blinds show up in the local thrift shops, I am on it. I am there. And I'm afraid if everyone knows this secret, they're going to be even harder to find.
Okay, so
And in all seriousness, Venetian blinds are hard to find now because the metal ones, which are fantastic, plastic ones will break if
Okay.
you're not careful with
So the
them.
metal
Cool.
Venetian
Go
blinds.
for metal if you can.
Yep.
But years ago, everybody replaced metal ones with plastic ones.
Yeah.
And then they replaced those plastic ones, which do work, but they can shatter. They replaced those with mini blinds.
Yeah.
And I think the mini blinds are out now, and there's a folded kind of a thing
Yep.
that is in vogue. So it's very hard to find the metal ones. If anybody wants free plants from me, show up at my house with a gift of Venetian blinds. You can take a whole flat away. I'm going to sprinkle these garlic chives right on the surface. I don't care that they're close together.
Yep.
Because this is not the final resting place
Right.
for these guys. And
Right.
they can stay right on the surface. The process of freezing and thawing, which Pennsylvania is notorious for in the winter,
Yep.
is going to move them down into the soil a
Okay.
little bit anyway.
Yep.
And then I'll close this up and put either duct tape or clear packing tape
Okay. Around the
around
edge.
the outside. And this is where people start to get very worried. People will say, but how do they get water? Well, there's plenty of water in there,
Yep.
and it's like a little terrarium. It's going to, some will evaporate through the top,
Right.
yes,
Right.
but not all that much. Most of it, on a hot day, there'll be condensation on the
Yep.
inside here, but it's just going to fall back down
Yep.
into the soil.
And essentially, we're leaving the top off the what was originally the milk carton top, and that way it'll rain, snow, sleet, whatever inside of there. So you want to put it in a place that it can do that. So you don't want to put it like
Yes.
under the eaves of your house,
Right,
or
you don't want it out. You don't want it outside.
Yep.
Or out. Sorry, you don't want it like on a porch where it won't have rainfall.
Yep. So and then where do you store these?
I've tried a couple of different things with varying degrees of success.
Right.
I did put things on my covered front porch, which is not ideal, but had some advantages because I would remember to check them often.
Yep.
And these guys are going to go right outside this hoop house on the ground.
Okay.
They'll get some runoff.
Yep.
They'll get, if we're lucky, we'll get a snow cover.
Yep.
And the jugs can get covered completely with snow.
Right.
That's terrifying to people who are doing this for the first time.
But you need
But
it.
that's the best possible
Yeah.
thing.
And then they're not in full sun. Should be the other thing, right?
Not
They're-
in full sun.
Yep.
Right. You want to get a little bit light. So you'll check by peeking through the opening.
Yep.
Starting in, say, late January if it's a super warm winter, or
Yep.
mid-February.
Yep.
This is one of the most exciting little rituals of the winter sowing process, going out every couple of days and having a little peek, because when you see green things happening,
So
man,
exciting, isn't it?
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
When you do see green things happening, you can pull off the tape and open things up. And then if it's going to get super cold again, you might close it up again overnight.
Yep.
But it won't hurt anything.
Yep. Yep.
They won't they won't sprout until it's safe for them to do so.
Yep. So Mother Nature knows when to
Yes.
that process should occur.
Yes, I started out by putting dates on each of the jugs as well, and I've since realized that's not as helpful to me long term as it is I would have originally thought.
Yep.
Now, I also do this a second way, which is not the traditional process.
Okay.
It works a little better for me personally because I do this on such a large scale.
Yep.
And also because part of my goal is to have plants available for
Supervisor's like, what are you doing?
Yes, I'm sorry, dear. I've
Disturbed your slumber.
I've disturbed you. I use these foil trays that are available at dollar stores. You can see that they're double stacked. That's because these are about 5 or 6 years old, and they're really starting to wear pretty thin.
Okay.
But I'll do the same basic process of soaking the soil completely, tamping it down with my hand, and then I'll put seeds on here, same as I did in the jugs, and take the marker. In this case, it does matter that the markers stick up right in the center.
Okay.
All right. So once that part's done, put the seeds in here, and then I take a plastic bag, the kind you get from the grocery store that you know, are all over your house that we hate. Excuse me. And then I'll slip this whole thing into a plastic bag.
Okay.
That becomes the top of the greenhouse. That becomes the lid, the equivalent of the lid.
Okay.
And place these trays into bulb crates.
Got it.
2 of them fit perfectly.
Okay.
Then I can stack these guys up.
Oh, very good.
So when I do put them on the side deck of the house, which is not covered, I can stack them up. Any rainfall is going to fall through and work its way down. And I can flip these, like take the top one off and make it be the bottom for the next couple weeks and just check them all.
Okay.
It's not as easy to check them because they're inside plastic. You've put them in plastic bags, which you have not quite tied shut, but just sort of folded. So you do have to lift them out and open the bag up and look in. That takes more time. I do this for poppies because I'll plant maybe 30 or 40 varieties of poppies, and pretty much they're all going to sprout at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm not worried that I'm going to miss anybody.
That's a good tip, is to maybe think about putting the seeds that are similar in the same container, and that way you've got them all ready to go. That makes sense, so that you know that they're all going to go at the same time.
Well, you don't want to find, especially if you're using this system, you don't want to find that you've got poppies or something else that has grown to 1 inch or 1.5 inches and hasn't had natural light yet, a lot of natural light yet.
Yep.
You do want to catch these guys, these little babies, before they've had too much time to grow.
Okay.
And that's where the checking ritual, you take the cup of coffee outside and you go out and check each one of them.
Yep.
And if they've hatched, then you move them to another area where you can keep a closer eye on them.
Okay. And then once the poppies have come up, at what point do you transplant them straight into the garden, or are you putting them?
You can do either.
Okay.
For my purposes, because I'm selling plants, what I'm doing, I'm imagining this entire thing will be covered with green.
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be like a little carpet. They'll be so thickly sowed. So I imagine that I am cutting it into literally 1/4 inch blocks.
Okay.
And this would produce enough for maybe 10 flats.
Okay.
18 pots in a flat. This is a lot of poppies.
Okay.
But a 4-inch pot that gets a little tiny 1/4 inch block of poppies in the center will end up, they'll sort of they'll figure it out themselves. Well, the strongest ones will thrive. You might get 2 or 3 plants in a 4-inch pot then that have come from that little square chunk of seeds.
Got it. Perfect. Any other tips that you would say to get started?
There's so little material input here. It's not expensive to do it. An entire bale of that soil is about $25 to $30 now. And that's far more than anybody's on a hobby level is going to want to
right.
So if you buy a bag of stuff, it'll be plenty for your needs.
Yep.
Excuse me, I have to.
Got to make sure the supervisor stays happy.
Coworker is happy.
Yeah.
Has a finger to chew on. But experiment with things and try. Even older seeds can work.
Yep.
And you've got so little to lose by trying to do it with this method.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.